right, so yeah, this week in our four-part intro to nutrition is how to plan and stick to your diet. I'm sure if you've ever tried to diet, you're here because we didn't stick to it perfectly, right? Because we need to learn. We need to learn. It can be very, very difficult. Um, there are many reasons why we tend to fall off, but there's a few that I'm going to cover that are usually the most common. A lot of times the most common. But first, we're going to review last week for those who weren't here, and maybe just as a good refresher. So last week we looked at something called macronutrients. Macronutrients, it's simple and easy. It's just carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. So the food that you eat, it contains calories. How are those calories made up of? Is through carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. So whenever you eat, say, an apple, that apple is going to have, X amount of calories, say 100 calories. And that calories is going to be like an apple, usually fruit, is from a carbohydrate. And there's about 4 calories per gram of carbohydrate. So if you look at something and it's like, oh, 20, 20 carbohydrates. If you want to know the calories, just times it by 4 and you'll get the calories. And the reason this is important is because all foods are made up of these different macronutrients. And so in order to properly get what you're looking for out of your diet, you need to know how much or what your goal should be for each nutrient. So for instance, if I'm a runner, and I run 10 miles a day, my warm up, which I definitely don't do, those you're going to need fuel, and you're going to need fast fuel. And so if you only ate protein, that's all you ate. You just ate, steak in the morning, steak for snack, steak lunch, steak dinner. Your body's going to be lacking the energy that it needs because carbohydrates is its first form of fuel. And so if you want to, let's say you're going for a hard workout, you want fast, quick energy, and that's going to be through the form of carbohydrates. It's the easiest thing your body has to break it down. Fats is going to be your second. So fats is something, especially more endurance. If you like endurance training, fats are an amazing energy source because they're broken down a lot slower. Now, proteins, your body will break down proteins and it will convert it into energy, but you really don't want it to get to that point because that means it's going to be taking it from muscle tissue and to use it for energy. So making sure we're fueled, making sure we're getting enough calories is a good way. That's if you've ever seen or heard of skinny fat. I don't know if you've ever heard of that body type, someone who's skinny fat. It's usually because they're eating things like carbohydrates constantly or fats constantly, and so your body isn't getting proteins to uptake a muscle tissue. So even if you're working out, your body doesn't have the proper macronutrients to keep the muscle and also burn the fat, and so it's usually an imbalance in diet. And uh, so we also looked at our basal metabolic rate. And this is just something, so usually when we start working out, we think, oh, I need to eat less. That's usually the go-to, oh, I need to eat less. And actually, especially it's most common in women, they're usually not eating enough. And so their metabolism is stopped. And so what happens with the basal metabolic rate is if you laid in bed all day for 24 hours, your body, in order for your lungs to work, in order for your heart to pump, in order for your brain to function, in order for all of the processes in your body, it requires energy. And that energy is through the form of foods, through the form of calories. So even if you laid in bed for 24 hours a day, for 180-pound male, he might burn 2,200 calories from not moving a muscle a day. So if it takes 2,200 calories just for your heart to beat, just for your lungs to go, just for your brain to function, just for all the cell processes in your body. If you're only eating, let's say I ate only 1,100 calories. Well, now my body doesn't even have the energy, the proper energy to just do its basic. And so what happens is the last thing it wants to do is use that fuel that you're giving it for energy or for anything else. And so it's going to shut off that metabolism to try and store every bit of energy you try putting into your body because it doesn't it's in starve mode. It's in starve mode. So it's going to hold on to all of that the stubborn fat too. It does not want to let it go because it needs it just for your heart to beat. And so understanding how much food we really need is very important too, at least a general range. A general range is going to be really good. And so that's sort of what we covered um, last week and looking at, how should it be broken up? What am I eating? And the activity that was given last week was also to start looking, to start seeing what am I eating? Am I eating proteins? Am I eating carbohydrates? Am I eating fats? And we looked at how to read a food label as well, for those who don't know, but really becoming familiar with what are you currently eating? Because most of us, uh, we might think we're eating too much, and we might think we're eating too little. A lot of times, what I've seen is especially um, if we are overeating, uh, usually people say, "Oh, I only eat once a day. I only eat once a day. I don't eat that much." But what happens is they're usually snacking, they're usually eating sugary drinks or high calorie drinks. And so they are eating, consuming a lot of calories throughout the day, but they might only have one large meal. And it's usually late at night. So that's usually some common things when we aren't aware of what we're eating. We need to know how much we're eating currently, and then we can adjust. We can know, am I eating too much? Am I eating too little? And so today we're going to look at reasons for falling off our diet. So next week we're going to jump into um, now what diet should I be on? How should I diet? How can I, you know, plan which, there's keto diet, there's a million of other diets. And I use diet. You don't have to use the word diet. I know diet sounds like I'm it's going to be a crash thing. It's going to be an 8-week diet, and I just use diet in the form of any diet that we choose. We should have the intention that it's going to be a long-term thing, a health move. It shouldn't be a drastic cabbage soup diet where you eat cabbage soup for 3 weeks. It should be something that you like, that you enjoy, and that you're able to stick to for a long term. But right now, we're going to cover just major reasons why we tend to fall off our diet. Um, there's a few, and usually when it comes to the realm of nutrition, um, there's the health food industry is a $1 billion a year industry. So I don't know if if you've ever looked at Instagram and all this kind of stuff. There's a million different things that are telling you, oh, fat's bad. Oh, carbohydrates bad. Oh, too much of this is bad. Too much of that's bad. Oh, this is how you need to diet. This is how you need to diet. And there's a lot of noise going on in the industry, so it can be very, very confusing on what's proper. And to have a healthy lifestyle, that you don't need to know, you know, the uh, the science behind every detail. You don't need to know every single possible problem with the food. For instance, if you've ever had, um, let's say, almonds or um, kidney beans, kidney beans contain uh, a chemical in them that if you were to eat a handful of raw kidney beans uncooked, you could die from it because inside that kidney bean is a toxin. Inside the seed of an apple seed is cyanide. So don't feed apple cores to your dogs. It contains cyanide. So, within our food, yeah, there can be these phytonutrients, these poisons, um, and things, but we don't need to take it to the extreme and avoid everything and find the one perfect food that solves all of our issues. We can have a healthy diet, a balanced diet. And so The difference between I wanna just point out the difference between us falling off our diet or failing our diet is a lot of times we're very 0 or 100. Think, "I'm gonna diet, so I'm gonna work out 6 days a week, I'm gonna only eat salads, and I'm gonna drink a gallon of water a day and, buy a whole new outfit, and my whole life's gonna change." Right? But then when we don't, we cave in, we go, "Oh, man, McDonald's sounds really good," or like, "Oh, there's donuts at work, I'm gonna have a donut." Then we just say, "Oh, there's no point." And we just, "Oh, I'll do it next week, I'll do it next year." And it's we're very, very extreme on things. It's usually just the human nature of it as well. So planning to stick to your diet, plan that know that you're not going to be 100%. If you know that you're not going to be 100%, Here's the rule. Just don't let it happen 2 days in a row. That's the rule. If you have a rule that you don't let it happen 2 days in a row, you're gonna at least do 50%, which is 50% better than we were doing. So, that's pretty good. So, as long as we're not going and just telling ourselves, "Oh, you know, oh, I can have a cheat day, a cheat this, cheat that," and we just have, the mindset that we can have everything we want. We just need to know that if we do are in a pinch, are starving, we have a lack of time, we need to know that we can still maintain a healthy diet by enjoying ourselves once in a while. It doesn't have to be 0 or 100. And a lot of times that's usually when people tend to tend to fall off their diet because they think, "Oh, I cheated once," or I didn't meal plan today. I didn't meal prep today, so, it's and then they discontinue. And so that's one of the major reasons why we have this mentality of 0 or 100. So if we can get out of that and just the rule, remember the rule, just don't let it happen 2 days in a row. And so the other major reason is when we think diet or we think eating healthy, we tend to eat nothing or just salads or very, very little. And especially if you're prone or if you aren't sure where you're at with the calories that you're eating. Let's say I'm eating 3,000 calories a day and I say, "Oh, I'm gonna diet." So I buy a salad for the morning, a salad for dinner, and then I have, cottage cheese for a snack. And I'm like, "Man, I'm eating a lot of healthy foods." Sure, I'm eating, healthy foods, but I also drop my calories by 2,000. And so by I'm gonna get hungry very, very quickly. I'm gonna get grumpy. I'm gonna get angry. My sleep's probably gonna suffer, and then I'm gonna feel like crap. And then I'm gonna say, "Man, this diet sucks." And then the last thing I'm gonna do is get on it and stay on. And every time I see someone eating a pizza, eating something good, I'm just always hungry. And so just eating healthy doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good diet because usually the tendency is, "Oh, I'm gonna just only eat these low calorie, low carbohydrate, snack on, 1 can of tuna," or whatever it may be. And so that's the other major reason why most people fall off is they're eating way too little, especially way too fast. Way too fast. Jumping into anything is usually a bad idea. Making sure that we're starting off right, and that's why understanding your starting point is so, so important. Knowing where you're at is how you can know what direction to go. If you're just blindly jumping into it and saying, "Oh, I'm just gonna start eating healthy," and you just pick a arbitrary amount of food, an arbitrary amount of meals, and just go, then it lacks a lot of purpose. You aren't sure, and you could be eating, and the opposite is true too. You could be eating lots of healthy foods, but be eating way too many calories. And it doesn't matter how healthy the food is. If you're eating more calories than you're burning a day, you're going to put on weight. And if you keep putting on weight, then, a lot of other problems are gonna happen. And the goal isn't necessarily always to lose weight or gain weight. And so maybe some of us, our goal is to gain weight, but understanding how food plays its role in that part is very, very important. And so here's today, there's going to be a couple quick tools for us to just start getting a general idea of maybe how much calories I should be eating. And so if you want this, so this is just a really quick, really easy way to kind of understand how many, a rough estimate, and it's pretty accurate, just roughly of how many calories I should be eating a day. So if on the left-hand column, we can see if you're living a sedentary lifestyle, moderately active. So a sedentary would be like, oh, I work at a desk job. I don't do really anything. Um, I'm not really getting my heart rate up. Moderately active, 3 to 4 times a week. Maybe you're doing some push-ups 3 to 4 times a week, 10-minute, 20-minute workout. Um, you're going on walks, things like that. And then very active. You go to the gym. You're squatting, benching. You're doing some hardcore training. That's going to be the left-hand column. And so what you're going to do is you're going to take your body weight and you're going to times it. So if you want to lose weight, let's say I'm a sedentary, I don't go to the gym, I don't do anything. I weigh 150 pounds and I want to lose weight. And so you're going to go to weight loss, sedentary, you're going to take your body weight and you're going to times it by 10 to 12. Maybe just 11 right in the middle and kind of get it even. And this is going to give you a rough idea of how many calories you need. How many calories you need. And the best way when doing this is to stick to an amount of calories. And we're going to go over how do I know how many calories I'm eating? We'll cover that too. And so is to stick to a number. Let's say, for me, I eat 3,000 calories a day and I want to lose weight. So usually the general rule is about a 500 calorie plus or minus 250 to 500. So I'm going to go to 2,500 calories. And what am I going to do is I'm going to stick to that for a week, 2 weeks. And if I start gaining weight, I'm going to drop. I know the calories too high. I'm going to drop the calories. If I'm feeling way too tired, way too, can't even get out of bed, so tired, I might up the calories a little, give myself a little more energy. And this is this is just an example. So we got John here. And John's 28 years old. He's 6 foot and 200 pounds. He weight trains 3 times a week, but he works in an office all day, but he goes hiking on the weekend. So what does he burn? He burns 2,800 calories a day. But that's including his basal metabolic rate, his normal calorie burn, and also the uh, increased calories of his exercise. So like I mentioned before about the review, the basal metabolic rate. So if I burn, let's say 1,300 calories a day, but I'm working out 7 days a week, for an hour, I could be burning an extra 700 calories a day. So how much does my body need just to maintain? Is about 2,000 calories. And so so this is how many we need to adjust in order to uh, seek our desired result. And again, if it's just maintenance, I just want to be healthy, then stick to that. It doesn't have to be a calorie surplus, trying to gain weight, trying to put on muscle, or it doesn't have to necessarily be a weight loss either. And so this is just an easy way to know based off that number that you had. If you did the previous activity, how many calories you should be eating a day, then just you can plus or minus. I would say 200 to 500, 200 to 500, and that'll get your target range of calories. And this is important because as we're going to go into how to meal plan, you have to know how much, what you need to meal plan. And so this brings it into the next point, and this is going to be what percentage of food. And don't get too caught up on the numbers. We don't have to get too, like I said, it doesn't have to be 0 to 100. Oh, I have to get 55% protein, 40% carbohydrates, otherwise the diet doesn't work. These are general, general rough guides to help us start eating healthier. And so a weight loss, if you were looking to lose weight, carbohydrates and fats are energy sources. They're needed by your body, but eh, they're mainly for energy. And so the reason weight loss is a little less carbohydrates is because the energy you want to be using for a weight loss program is stored body fat. But going back to the basal metabolic rate, going back to how many calories you burn a day versus um, how many you're consuming. Let's say a vegan diet. I switch on and off vegan diets. In vegan diets, it's very hard to get 50% protein unless you're supplementing, with a pea protein powder, protein powder, things like that. It's very, very difficult to get a lot of protein in a vegan diet. It's a lot of maybe grains, rices, quinoas, vegetables, fruits. And so it's a lot more higher on the carbohydrate spectrum. That's okay. You can still lose weight. You can still, but that's where that calorie comes in. Because if you're on a vegan diet, your target goal is 2,000 calories and you're eating 1,500 calories. You're still in a calorie deficit. So you're still okay. So understanding that too, that this is not um, a rule. This isn't the only way to do it, but this is just a general guide. For the average person, this is a good starting point. You're gonna see results this way. You don't have to get on a special crazy crash diet or a special crazy, I only eat fats, I only eat proteins, I only eat fruits. Um, in order to see results this way, you don't have to. So, but like I said, sometimes I do go vegan, sometimes I do go other ways for other health reasons as well. And so, this is if in order to really get the amount, I'm guessing we probably don't want to weigh out every single, piece of food. Yeah. And so that's another reason of falling off is if it's too complicated, then forget about it. I'm the same way. I don't I did that for a couple years and I'm not gonna get a food scale out and weigh anything. So this is a really easy way to solve that problem. Just portion size. So a protein, as you can see, is like the palm of your hand. So if your diet is 50% protein, let's say it's 50% protein. Okay. So what you're gonna do is I eat 5 meals a day. So what are you gonna do is you're gonna have half of your food, half of your meals, you're gonna have chicken breast the size of your palm, right? For half of your calories. For half of your carbohydrates, it's gonna be like a cup. And so how this works is, obviously, if I'm 7'5", my hand's gonna be probably huge. So my portion size is gonna be huge to fuel the body. And that's why if I'm, 5'4" and 120 pounds, like my portion size is gonna be a lot smaller. So this is kind of a general way, and it is actually very effective. I have used it a lot in the past. Used it a lot with helping and training other people as well, and it does get you to a very good desired result. And here's kind of now looking at what that equates to, as far as grams, as far as carbohydrates, in protein. So one serving, one palm size of your protein might be 20 to 30 grams of protein. One, cupful in your hand of carbohydrate of rice, let's say, 20 to 30 grams of carbohydrate. And so this can give you just a rough idea. Again, this should be a rough idea. You shouldn't be aiming to get, oh, I have to get 2,500 calories on the dot. So I need to weigh out every gram of rice and every piece of broccoli and everything like that. That's a good way to fall off your diet very, very quickly. This is to get us now thinking about what we're eating, and how much we're eating. All right. So now how do I plan for this? How do I plan for this? So failing to plan is planning to fail. If you think you're gonna go your whole day without being hungry, then I'm sure we've all done this where we go, oh man, I'm gonna eat healthy, I'm gonna have a salad for lunch, and then you don't eat for like 6 hours and you're starving. The last thing you want to go home and do is take out your chicken breast, cook it, put rice in your rice cooker, wait an hour for it to cook. And so what do? You go for the microwave burrito. You go for the, drive-through line. You go for the quick, fast, easy, the breakfast cereal. You go for the easy, quick meal. And so that's something, uh, if we don't plan, if we don't decide this is what I'm going to eat, and even plan ahead, maybe if it's cooking your meals beforehand or setting them out, um, we're going to fall off. We're going to fall off. And so that's why we have to have a plan. We have to be intentional, like with anything. We have to be intentional with how we're gonna diet, how we're gonna eat, and creating that. And this is just an example of something that you would of a daily meal. So breakfast, you have your whatever that is, eggs and you know protein pancakes. I think is what that looks like. And then you have a protein shake, some ground turkey and some vegetables, your snack, your hummus and carrots, your chicken and veggies, and some fruit. And so if you know every day that and I'm not saying every day you shouldn't have the same food every day, but if you already know this is what I eat at 6 o'clock, this is what I eat at 9 a.m., then you're much, much more likely to stick to your diet. If there's ever resistance, especially on starting something new, something's too difficult, it's very, very hard to stick to a new habit that way. So making things very easy, setting things out the night before, um, pre-packaging your vegetables, setting them in the front of your fridge even so you just see them first. That's a good way. That's a good way to start that habit. And again, remember the rule, just don't let it happen 2 days in a row. If you're like, oh man, it's microwave burrito, sounds awesome. Have a microwave burrito, but just don't do it tomorrow. All right. And then this is um so a lot of this, it might sound like a lot. It might sound like a lot, like we have to do a lot. But it is very simple, especially once you get in the rhythm. But to take out 90% of the effort, this is a tool. It's called MyFitnessPal. So if you want to use this, if you want to practice with this, it's free to sign up. And it's a very good tool because what it's going to do, as soon as you sign up, it's going to ask you how tall you are, how old you are, what your fitness goals are, it's going to go through all those activities, all those exercises for you. And then it's going to spit out your calories for you. It's going to spit out your percentage of carbohydrates. It's going to spit out your percentage of fats and proteins. And it's going to tell you. And then the nice thing about this is every time you eat something, you can put it in there and it's going to break it down for you. So you don't got to weigh your food. You don't got to know what's in an apple anymore. You don't got to know what's in a chicken breast, but you'll learn through it. It'll help you learn through that. And so it'll now subtract your goal calories from the how much calories you're eating. It'll tell you, oh, you're lacking 20 grams of protein, but your carbohydrates and fats are good. Okay, cool. So I'll just eat some cottage cheese. Boom. Hit my calories, hit my diet. And it's also the nice thing is you can create meals within it. So I love oatmeal and blueberries in the morning. That's one of my favorite breakfasts. You can create that in there. So every time, you have that, all you do is you hit meal breakfast one, boom. And it's already got all the calories saved. It's already got everything saved. So it does take a little bit of upfront effort, but once you have everything established, I eat like, blackened chicken, or I eat a quinoa and eggplant stir fry. That's my favorite dinner. Then you can input that and it'll save how much of what, and then you just hit that and it'll input it for us. And so that's a good way for us to, this is an awesome free tool for us to take out a lot of that work, take a lot of that effort and start. And the thing is once you do this for a month, 2 months, 3 months, you'll know what's in everything. You won't even really you'll know every single time you eat a half a cup of oatmeal what's in it. You'll know every single time you eat a chicken breast what's in it. And so this is a good way for us to really start learning how to eat healthy and how to eat to fuel our lives, not just eat to fuel our stomach and our tongue. But all right. So that will conclude for today's how to plan and stick to your diet.